Misty, I'll leave it to you if you want to, you think we should just get started or
Yeah, let's just get started and they can jump in and catch up where they jump in at.
all right, hold on a second. All right, and I'm going to be looking to the right because I had to flip-flop my screen. So we're going to get rolling. Well, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name's Therese Raymond, and I'm excited to lead the webinar today. I'm going to move my camera over here because it seems that I've screwed up my screens today. And when you have a situation like that, you just pivot. So hopefully you can see me front and center. Eric, can you?
You're good.
Okay, perfect. I'm excited to lead this webinar today. For those of you who I had the opportunity to personally meet at Heartland, the conference last week, welcome. For those of you who are here because Jason and Misty said you got to hear about this company, Pekin Life, welcome. I want to thank both of them for inviting us to do a webinar and being one of the first ones to get on our calendar after the conference last week. And I also want to thank Adam Kiss for his support as well. And he's on the call. I thought I saw him with that San Francisco background. I'd also like to introduce our Powerhouse Life Brokerage team at Pekin Life. This is your team that gives you service from illustrations to application to submission and to paid. But first, I just want to give a little background on myself so you have an idea of who I am and what my experience has been in this industry. This is my 32nd year in insurance. I have spent my entire career with 3 carriers, just doing recruiting of agents, training, helping agents write more life insurance, write more disability income, write more annuities. That's my wheelhouse. All recruiting, distribution, and sales. I like to say that I'm an agent advocate because if I can help you achieve more, then ultimately I help my company achieve more. And we've got a great group of team members that are joining me today to help you in your ability to get started with Pekin, whether you're brand new to the business, whether you've been selling life insurance for 5 to 10 years, or whether you're an expert. So it's been thrilling to watch people grow. That's one of the things I love about this business. I'm very, very proud to say that I sell life insurance. What we do is important. Protection of individuals, families, and businesses is important. And no matter what your income is, no matter what your occupation, I believe that you can craft a policy and put together a strategy at any budget, and any coverage is better than no coverage. So I'll introduce our team. I'm going to start in the bottom left corner with Eric Garland. Eric is our internal wholesaler who you'll be working with in lockstep as you get your contracting done with Pekin, and he'll help you get up and rolling. And you'll hear from Eric later in the program. Eric has multi years experience, a couple decades in distribution and in sales, and he just does a phenomenal job in partnering with our agents to help them grow and to get things done and work through our system, again, from submitted to paid. On the bottom right, I'm very happy to have our life underwriter on the call today, Tara Calloway. You're going to hear from Tara at the end of the program. I specifically structured it that way so we can open the mic and have all of your questions regarding underwriting. And between myself, Eric, and Tara and Amy, we believe that we can tackle all those questions once we open up the mic. And last but not least, I want to introduce you to Amy Darling. Amy is the Vice President of Life Brokerage and Claims at Pekin and has several decades of experience. So I think Amy has joined us, and I want to toss the mic to Amy to get us started.
Hello, thank you, Therese. Yes, so very, very excited to be here. I've been anticipating this since I met Misty and Nikki a couple of weeks ago. You guys, you bring the energy that matches Therese and I, so we are very, very excited to partner with a firm like yours. You guys have amazing leaders. Jason, I don't think I had a chance to meet you, and I apologize if I did. more than just a second. There's a lot of people there, but we're very excited to be here. So I just want to take a few minutes before Therese and the rest of the team kind of run with all the great things we have to share with you today. But if you were at our meeting at Grow With Us, we spoke to the fact Pekin is not new. We're not a new kid on the block. Maybe new to you, maybe we're not a whole household name across the nation yet, but our company has been around for 100 years. A group of Pekin, Illinois farmers right here in central Illinois started Farmers Automobile Insurance Association 100 years ago, insuring automobiles. And then in 1965, they decided to expand that to also include life insurance products. So this is our 50th anniversary. We're pretty excited about that. We've got a nice breadth of portfolio, really exclusive product that Therese is going to share with you. We've got the teams to support it in-house. We have the assets you can see from our financial statement. Our surplus was at 189 ending last year. So we've got the financial stability to really be a great partner for you. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, Therese, so you can get into all the good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. I appreciate that. I'm glad you could be on the call today. We are really excited to kick off this relationship. So let me just go over what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give an introduction to Pekin Life. You got most of it just a minute ago with Amy. We're going to talk a little bit about our entire product portfolio, but we're going to spend a lot of time on our unique and one-of-a-kind product called Transitional Life. I will then share with you 5 life insurance case studies using our product portfolio. 2 will be on transitional term. For those of you who heard our 15-minute presentation last week, one of them will sound familiar, but there'll be another one as well. And then the 3 other case studies are products and designs that were done over the past couple weeks that are actual real cases. One is using long-term care rider as an enhancement to a standalone in-force LTC policy, and then using whole life as a long-term care alternative. And then finally, the last one is something that I just titled Young and Locking It In. Then we'll move on to the underwriting sweet spots at Pekin. And then Eric will take you through a software demo to show you how easy it is to use our software, how flexible it is to move around. I spent a lot of time with Jason at the meeting last week showing the software. It's super easy to use in front of a client. So I'm excited for you to see Eric do a demonstration for you. And then we'll finish up with how to get off to a good start, the contest that we have in place right now, and the 2025 sales trip. Qualification begins tomorrow. So I'm excited to be able to share that with you. So we're going to get right into it. Pekin offers a full bookshelf of products, life insurance products. We have term, simplified issue whole life, and then the unique one-of-a-kind transitional life. The riders are all listed below, but today I'm going to spend a good bit of time talking about the long-term care rider because I think it's a secret weapon, and how it works at Pekin is a little different than what you might be familiar with. So we're gonna show that in some illustration case studies, and I'm going to tell you how it works. So as I mentioned, we offer a game-changing and unique product that gives you an advantage in the marketplace and will set you apart from the competition. Why? Because the only folks that have this product are those firms that are associated with Heartland Financial Group. So you're not going to see other agents and advisors having the transitional life product. And it is our flagship product at Pekin Life, and it's not complex. It's very easy to use. It provides protection and shows various options when you illustrate it to price and coverage, depending on what the budget is for the client. So, So it's a term policy with a whole life rider all in one. And it's completely customizable to fit a budget and any unique needs. So how it works is you choose your face amount, you choose your term length, you choose your paid up face amount, and then you choose your riders if you want to add a rider. Our illustration software makes it easy to pivot and make changes if the client wants to see other options for face amount, term length, or different riders. And once you're contracted, we do a one-on-one with each agent that contracts with us to make sure that you have a full company orientation. It takes about 30 minutes, and that you're comfortable running the software. And as I mentioned later in today's presentation, Eric's going to demonstrate that for you and show you how you can quickly show pricing and coverage in a clear and very understandable manner so clients get it and understand it right from the get-go. And that's what our software does. So at a glance, this is transitional life. We have a 10, 15, 20, 30 pay and a pay to age 65. And our rate classes are on the right. And it's important for you to recognize and maybe jot down that Pekin's preferred compares to the industry standard. So that alone sets us apart. So just know that our preferred compares to the industry standard. And if you have a client that uses marijuana or cannabis, they could qualify for preferred rates. We would just need to know what the cadence is on what's going on there. And that's also one of our secret weapons is your ability to talk to an underwriter, which I'll get into later. So with Pekin's long-term care rider, it is not a use it or lose it. It's a win-win. And for typically a very small increase in premium, this rider gives a client peace of mind that if they need to access cash for long-term care, they can. So it allows for the permanent funds to be available for long-term care expenses by accelerating the use of the permanent funds. So all or none of the life insurance benefit can be used. 5% per month of the permanent insurance portion of the life policy can be utilized for long-term care, the qualified expenses for long-term care. And as an example, a long-term care rider with a $200,000 permanent life insurance provides the client up to $10,000 a month, which is the 5%, available for long-term care expenses. So qualified long-term care is nursing home, custodial care, assisted living, hospice care, home health care, adult daycare is covered under that, but it's at 50% of the max monthly benefit. So in my example, it'll be $5,000 per month rather than $10,000. So a total of up to $500,000 of whole life benefit can be used for long-term care. And the funds that are available are provided by a reimbursement for the incurred expenses, and there's a 60-day waiting period, elimination period before they're available. So to sell the long-term care rider, you would need to be long-term care certified, should that be a requirement in your state. Every state is different. And full details on the long-term care rider is in our on our website and in our product guide, so you can see exactly how it works. But I wanted you to have an understanding because all of my examples moving forward are going to use the long-term care rider. So let's take a look at two case designs to give you an idea on how transitional life works. So we're going to look at Stacy. She's a single mom and she's looking for protection during her working years, but she wants to have dollars available for her family to be able to pay for her expenses at her death. So she's looking for a low monthly premium that she can lock it in and not think any more about it. So her agent showed her a $200,000 face amount with a paid up at end of term benefit of $50,000. That would be at the end of her paying her 20-year for her policy. She would have a paid up amount of $50,000, which she could use for her family to pay for for expenses at death. This is $99.14 a month. Now her agent also shared with her the value of adding the long-term care rider for an additional $4.22. That gives her access to 5% of the end of term paid up. So 5% of the $50,000 per month is $2,500 a month should she need access to funds for long-term care expenses. So at age 60, so the policy has ended, 20 years she's paid in. At age 60, she has paid premiums totaling $22,982. You take the 1149 times it by 20. That's how I got that number. And no more premiums are paid. Now, she has very close to the amount of premium that she's paid in cash value, should she decide she wanted to surrender the policy and just take the cash and be done with it. But she doesn't want to do that because look, as she goes into her 60s, 61, 62, 63, 64, and onward, you'll see that the bucket of money on the cash value continues to grow and that each year it gets higher and higher, and her locked in benefit of 50,000 is there, 100% there, guaranteed. So by age 66, she's already earned more in cash value than she did with the premium that she put in there. And by choosing to pay a little bit more, $4.22 for the long-term care rider, she has options if she needs it to access $2,500 a month towards long-term care expenses. So again, it's not a use it or lose it. With Pekin, you have a lot of flexibility and it's an option that you can add to the policy. So let's take a look at our second case strategy. This is the one I presented at the Grow With Us conference. This is Tom. He bought a vacation home. He lives in Texas. He's concerned about carrying the debt of the mortgage into retirement and with reducing his monthly expenses when he retires. So it's very important to him that his kids keep the property in the family if he passes before it's paid off. So with a transitional life policy design, Tom's concerns can be protected and fully guaranteed. And here's how. So he selects a policy that's to age 65. He pays premiums to age 65 with $250,000 in total coverage and a $200,000 fully paid up death benefit. So that's $313 a month. Tom saw the advantage of adding Pekin's long-term care rider for an additional $15.66 a month, which gives him access to 5% of the $200,000 in this example, which is $10,000 a month, should he need access to cash for a long-term care expense. At age 65, the policy stops. His premiums stop. The policy doesn't stop, excuse me. The premiums stop. And he's got $98,788 in cash value. So he's paid close to $94,000 in, and he's got roughly $4,000 more in cash value. So that covers his goal of no more premiums after age 65 and reducing his expenses at retirement. Okay, under the cash value, you can see, although he's not paying any more premiums, that cash value is rock and rolling, continually going up, 101, 104, 107, 110. And he's got more than all his premiums back and beyond. So it's a triple win because Tom has a guaranteed death benefit, a guaranteed cash value if he wanted to get out of the policy, and he can get back more than what he put in. But if he wants to keep it going, no premiums are required, and he has access to up to $10,000 a month, 5% of the $200,000 for long-term care dollars, and it's all fully guaranteed. With Pekin's product, it is contractually written in the contract that the policy that you give to the client that it is fully guaranteed. So you would not have any egg on your face. What you show them is what they get. There's a lot of products out there to consider, and not every product fits every client, and not every carrier fits every client. And this chart, I really like this a lot because it's just a one-page comparison for you as the agent and gives a snapshot of just how transitional life compares to other life insurance products. So you'll see on the left, the lowest cost is term with the $1 sign. So take a look at the right, where in the middle, participating whole life, which is the most expensive. And what you see with par whole life is typically an illustration, and how that illustration performs in 20 years can look very different down the road based on dividends, etc. So with Pekin's transitional life contract, the term and the whole life combo contract, we cannot give you anything less than the cash value that the client sees on their illustration or the guaranteed death benefit that they see on the illustration. That's the power of a fully guaranteed contract. And you can find this piece and other marketing materials on our website, and we'll make sure you guys have that QR code at the end of the presentation. So this is our third of fifth case designs, and I'd like to share a way to optimize the long-term care rider as an enhancement to an existing long-term care policy. So our top agent year to date is proactively reaching out to all his clients who previously purchased standalone long-term care insurance from him 15 years ago, and he's offering policy reviews. And given the continuous increase in costs of long-term care insurance as a standalone and the cost of care over the past 15 years, he thought it would be a good strategy to just do a check-in. And so he's exploring opportunities to enhance their protection. And obviously, these folks are now a lot older. So he positions this as an alternative, a long-term care alternative, to help clients find a comprehensive solution if they may need more access to cash than what they already have in place with their current policy. So last week, two policies were sold for a husband and a wife. They were submitted and paid within 7 days. And I'm going to show you the case design. So first you have a 75-year-old male. Remember, our preferred is the industry standard. 50,000 face amount with a lifetime pay. Now you might be saying, hey, Therese, why would you do a lifetime pay? Well, if you could tell me how long a 75-year-old is going to live and have that magic crystal ball, great. But you don't know whether that person will live until they're 85, 95, 105. So we chose the lifetime pay, 50,000 of face amount. This is a whole life plan, $359.40 a month. So this client has access to 5% of the 50,000 if he needs additional funds for long-term care. And that's around $2,500 a month that he has access to for an additional $34.06 a month in premium. So he's already got a policy in force, and by adding this rider, it gives him the extra protection in case he needs to get hands on more dollars. If not, he has 50,000 death benefit in force, which can go to his beneficiary when he passes. And for preferred whole life, another thing that's unique about Pekin is that we issue up to age 85. So if you work in the senior market, this product can be very advantageous to you. And again, this is the second page of this illustration. By selecting a lifetime pay, it ensures that the client will have access to the funds, and both the cash value and the reduced up value continue to grow over the life of the policy. And since he already has a standalone policy in force, this design offers a safety net. So here's his wife. She's 10 years younger. So we did super preferred on her. Again, a lifetime pay, $100,000, a little bit more in coverage for $276 a month. And it gives her access to the long-term care rider, which she added on, 5% of the $100,000 should she need additional funds for long-term care. And then you can see the death benefit, the cash value, and if she chose at age 80 to have a reduced up, paid up, and be done with it, she could have $58,100 in death benefit, no more premiums paid if she wants to. If she wants to take her $39,727 in cash value and do something different with it, she can do that. Or she can just keep going, keep paying the monthly premium and keep maintaining that $100,000 death benefit. Fully guaranteed, lots of flexibility, life changes as you get older, access to long-term care dollars if you need it. And this strategy really worked well for Steve and Mary. And again, this just placed last week. So our fourth option is, and I like this one a lot because I think this one is really true to today. Elizabeth, age 55, she's the primary income earner in her family, and she has sufficient life insurance in place. However, she thinks she's going to be working another 10 to 15 years, and she's concerned about how a potential financial burden of a long-term care event might happen and be of concern to her family. In the past, her agent showed her a standalone long-term care policy, but she found it far too expensive and just really couldn't stomach the premium. So her agent said, hey, let's take a look at Pekin's whole life product with a long-term care rider as a more comprehensive solution within her budget. So here we have a $200,000 death benefit, $341 a month. We did the full long-term care rider on the $200,000 face amount. She's also doing a lifetime pay. So she will have access with the $29.93 long-term care rider to $10,000 a month if she needs it for long-term care expenses. I think this is I talk to my friends about this all the time. I'm in this age bracket, I'll just say that. And so I bought something very, very low when I first got my long-term care insurance. I love this strategy. I think this is a really good strategy for folks who want protection, but maybe never could afford the premium. So I would just encourage you to keep all the tools in your toolbox that you can pivot to show various options. And I think this one's a pretty good one. Again, this just shows that she has multiple choices as the policy grows. And let's just look when she's age 75, so 20 years down the road, she has $200,000 in death benefit. There's a cash value in the policy of $77,000, and she could elect to have $129,000 paid up and be done with it. Life is unpredictable. Having a product that's fully guaranteed, built-in flexibility, choices as things change through the journey of life, empowers clients to know that they have options and they can make the best decisions for their future. So security, stability, and choice, and that is the true advantage of a plan like this. And last but not least, on the case design, this is an example I'd like to share as a lock-in and forget it now strategy for a young adult that's just starting out after school with a new job. Now, full disclosure, my son is 21 and he just graduated college. He's starting his job in a couple months and he's buying this. He's highly suggested to buy this. So don't be afraid to talk to a younger person, whether a college graduate, high school graduate, someone that's working full time, to talk about protecting their insurability. Buying life insurance during the younger, healthier years is a perfect time. The premiums, regardless of the carrier, the premiums, regardless of the product, are usually far more reasonable and affordable. So his name's Tanner. He's 21, super preferred, $300,000 lifetime paying monthly $144, adding the long-term care rider for $7.83. And you can see in the early years of the policy, there's no minimum cash value, no paid up. His goal, my son's goal, is to retire before age 50. But at age 50, should he work until then and pay his premiums, he's got a bunch of choices, because if he's done other investments or if he has other coverage in place, he may decide, you know what, I'm just going to do a reduced paid up. I've got $197,100 in death benefit. I'm going to call it a day. And guess what? I still have that long-term care rider on there. So I have access to 5% of that $197,100 for any cash that I need for long-term care expenses. Or he could say, you know what? I'm doing so much in investing. I'm fine. I need the cash. I'd like to turn that cash into something else and use it to invest in other areas. He could surrender the policy and take his cash. Or he could keep paying his $144 a month and continue to have the $300 death benefit. Oops. So remember, again, the words fully guaranteed, locked in, flexibility. Now, locking it in and forgetting it is something that I'm a big fan of. knowing that I'm paying $100, $200 a month and I'm just forgetting about it. And that's my life insurance. That's my long-term care safety net. That's empowering. Being able to articulate solutions like this gives you an edge as an agent. And again, no one else has this but Heartland Financial Group agents. So now we're going to talk and move to our sweet spots of underwriting. Our non-medical expedited issues for clients of all ages up to 250,000. There's no labs, no exams. Up to 500,000 for age 40 and below. No labs, no exams. The non-medical expedited issue is available on the preferred whole life, the term, and the transitional life, which I just shared with you in the case examples. Pekin simplified issue whole life is designed for the client who might have had a minor health setback or is slightly overweight, or someone who might prefer to bypass an exam. The approval is based on 3 health questions, no medical exam, and the policy provides guaranteed protection for life at guaranteed standard rates. So we want to help you save time. And to that extent, one of our service commitments at Pekin is that you have direct access to our underwriting team. And that's advantageous because a lot of time there's a lot of gatekeepers between the underwriting and the agent, or the underwriting and the BGA or the IMO. Not at Pekin. If you have a case you want to run by us, you have a guy. Keep all the details concise, short, sweet, and pick up the phone and call us or send us an email. We want to build that one-on-one relationship with you to save you time. If we can't do it, we're going to let you know. If we can, we're going to let you know. So we want to help you save time. And we are running, as of the beginning of the year, for an average initial app review of 1 to 7 business days, which is unheard of in the industry. And that's the power of having a dedicated team that's very focused on helping our new relationships grow in the life insurance space. So as I mentioned previously, at the end of our presentation, we're going to open it up so you can have dialogue with all of us and with Tara on underwriting. So just sit tight and we'll get right into that in about 10 minutes. So our software and orientation process makes it easy to get up and running. And Eric is going to take the wheel and show you how to get off to a smooth start writing life insurance with Pekin and demo our illustration software. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll have Eric jump on and share his screen.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Give me just a minute here to get my screen up and running. I'm assuming you can see it now?
I can. You're good.
Perfect. So I am your internal wholesaler. And what on earth is an internal wholesaler? My job is simply to support you. And you get to decide what that might be, whether it's product knowledge, designing the perfect case, assistance with running quotes, block and tackling with getting to underwriting to get the answers you need, to off hours, to doing an e-app, and anything in between. I'm your go-to guy. And Teresa, in one of her bullet points, she said, "What are some keys to doing business?" And I'll tell you, the number one thing that I found out is we have a great underwriting department, and the number one question that comes up after business comes in is prescription medications. So many prescriptions can be used for multiple ailments. So if your customer says, "Hey, I'm taking gabapentin," ask them what for, and put that in the note section of the app, because that will eliminate the underwriter coming back to you and saying, "Your customer takes this medication. Can you please find out what condition they're treating for?" That's my number one tip on expediting that. So what I did is I opened up our quoting screen, and I'm just going to do one for Misty. I'm going to do this in real time so that you see how it works. And you put in a customer's name. We pick the state we're quoting in. And because Misty's in Michigan today, we're going to do it in Michigan. We select our product type. We got a drop-down arrow. And as Tree said, there's 3: term, whole life, transitional life. I'm going to start with transitional life. We click Find Available Products. There's only one. If I click Select, I'm going to enter a couple of pieces of info, and I'm going to have rates for you. We know that Misty's a female. I'm just going to pick a birth date for you, Misty, so that we have one in here. And I can actually quote without a birth date, but I can't run an illustration with it. So I'm going to stick a birth date in here. This makes Misty 50. And I apologize if I went too old for you, but I just wanted to pick an age. Um, the rate classes are here. I'm going to leave it at super preferred. And let's say I talk to Misty and she says, hey, my kids are gone. Uh, Jason and we bought some rental properties, but we mortgaged them. We got some 30-year mortgages and we got some heavy debt. I need $500,000 of coverage. So we put it in. And I asked her, how long did you mortgage for it? She said, we carried pretty much everything for 30 years. Perfect. So we'll put in the term period for 30 years. At the end of this term, as I talk to Misty and say, what do you want this to do for you at the end of that term? Do you still have a need for a large amount of insurance? Misty said, no. We're going to be debt free. Kids are gone. All of our rental properties are now paid for. I'd like to just have enough to cover my final expenses. And maybe we choose $50,000 for final expenses. I type that number in. I can go over here to the riders tab and I can choose any riders that I want, whether it's accelerated death benefit, which comes automatically, accidental death, children's term, waiver of premium, long-term care. Just for quickness, I'm not going to use any. I'm just going to click the policy tab again and go back. What I need is a quote, right? And if whether I'm meeting someone face to face or talking in a Zoom meeting or on the phone, speed is everything. Because if we're not quick, they're grabbing their phone, they're texting, they're on Facebook, they're on Snapchat, they're on whatever they have available to them. So I don't want them to get distracted. So I could go up here and I could click illustration. I could have an illustration right now. But what I really need is a premium because I need to get Misty's attention back. So I go here and I click calculate. And right here is what Misty asked for, $500,000 of 30-year term with 50,000 of paid up permanent whole life protection at the end, $210 a month. But now I give that to Misty and she says, oh, you know what? Jason and I have been talking. We may refinance this real soon and make it a 20-year mortgage. How would that change my premium? Instead of me having to go up here and recalculate, thank Amy for being involved in the development of our quoting. The numbers are right here. If Misty says, I want a 20-year term, everything else being the same, here's the premium. Here's a 15-year, here's a 10-year. Maybe we want term to go to age 65. Here's the premium. So we have 5 different quotes for different lengths of term, all with one click. But now as I'm talking to Misty, Jason's sitting there and we open up the conversation and she says, you know what? $50,000 will help cover my final expenses today. But you know what? When I need this 40 years from now, is 50 grand gonna do it? Or do I need a little more? Maybe I want to leave something for each one of my grandchildren. How much if I had a little bit more permanent insurance at the end that's bought and paid for? Instead of me going up here and requoting, I simply scroll down, anticipated that question. Here's 60,000. Here's 70,000. Here's 80,000. Here's 90,000. Here's 100,000. So Misty, if we up this to 100,000, so if there's 50,000 to cover your final expenses and 25,000 for each of your 2 grandchildren, your monthly premium would be $274. Is that workable for you? Misty says, absolutely. But then Jason says, well, Misty, you know what? What if we didn't do term? What if we did all permanent? We don't have to start over. I just go right here to product type, click whole life. It carried everything over that we've already typed in. I don't have to start from scratch. Now I have a $500,000 whole life plan with a lifetime pay. I click calculate. It's going to cost a lot more, but the kids are gone. We got rental income coming in. We can afford to pay more. So can we afford $777 a month or $636 a month? All those numbers are right here for us. So with one click, I got 5 more quotes for all permanent insurance. If you were talking to my wife, she would say, why on earth would you throw your money away on term? Buy permanent. That's my wife. My wife does not believe in term insurance. But now Jason says, you know what, hon? We're working on prepaying that debt. I don't think we can afford this right now. Maybe we just go with just straight term right now. How much would that cost? I go over here to the drop down arrow, click the term button. Now I got 500,000 of 10-year term. Let's change it to 30, which is what we started with. I click calculate. I've got 10-year term, 20, 15, 30, 65. They're all right here for us. So once Misty and Jason say that's the one we want, I make sure I have it toggled into the right one. I'll go to transitional life. We'll change it back to what we initially talked about. I don't have to click calculate because we already know the number, but it's there. I need to run an illustration, so I simply click the illustration tab right there. It's going to open an illustration. I'm not going to take our time right now to go through an illustration, but you'll see the illustration. I close it. I go right here to the application tab. And again, this is in real time with my Southeastern Wisconsin Wi-Fi, and that quick, I'm in an e-application. And everything I just did was in real time. And what impressed me the most, and like Teresa, I've been in this business my whole life, but I just joined Pekin last fall. I talked to Amy, and it's like, you know what? I want to work with Pekin. And I ran up against Pekin for more than the last 20 years of my career. And one of the things that impressed me was the ease of doing these things. It's so simple and so quick. And we've got a limited amount of time to keep our customers' attention. We're able to move, I think, in lightning speed with this stuff. I'll stop sharing and giving it back to you, Therese.
Awesome. Excellent. That was great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's very nice to be able to talk to a client and be on one screen and not minimize, maximize, move, shut down. And our software really lets you do that on a laptop quite easily. And when you get contracted with Pekin as an individual agent, I think the contracting from Misty and Jason is almost done. So once you guys get contracted, you're going to have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with Eric, and he'll walk you through what we call a company orientation to make sure you feel very comfortable with that illustration software, pivoting to different directions. So thank you, Eric. That was great. Good job. All right, so we're in the home stretch. Before we open it up, I want to talk about doing business, our contests, and our incentive trip. So currently we write business in 16 states. And although I can't confirm a timeline, we are in significant growth mode at Pekin Life. And we expect to expand in the states that have the green and white stripes as we continue to grow. And there is other states that are on our radar, most specifically Florida and South Carolina. So just stay tuned. We are in the process of expansion, and we hope we have some good news for you throughout the months to come about other states that we're in. But I did want to make sure to mention that this state chart is on the website that you can access. And we are very, very intentional about growing at the same rate that we can maintain our service and support. So I talked about underwriting. I talked about, having the concierge one-on-one with the internal Eric Superstar Garland. We want to make sure that as we grow, because we're growing very rapidly right now, that we maintain the service and support that you expect. But we also know we need to be in some of these states that you see on this map. So our current contest right now, And I wasn't going to mention this, but because it started in January, but it runs all the way to the end of April. So for the next 30 days, and remember, we're a company that can issue policies in 1 to 7 business days. If you write 3 applications for a total of $10,000 in transitional life premium, you get an extra 5% of commissions. So that's a contest that's been going on since the end of January. So if you like what you hear and you want to get out there quoting and talking to your clients about transitional life, I invite you to participate in this fast start bonus, because 5% of an extra comp is pretty exciting. Secondly, starting tomorrow, we begin our 6-month contest for life insurance sales, all products. So that's term, preferred whole life, simplified issue whole life, and transitional life. It's our inaugural, our first trip as a life brokerage arm of the company. And the qualifications are very low. We know that. We want a huge crowd. So the contest runs April 1st through September 30th. It's 5 days, 4 nights in Hilton Head. If you write 40,000 of life premium, that gives you a $1,200 transportation credit, whether you want to drive or fly, plus a trip for 2. So I invite all of you to qualify. We have really worked hard on putting together a cool trip. And again, it's a little different in that it's 6 months, not 12 months. And the qualification is very low because we want to pack the house. So all the details on the contest are on our website, and I encourage and invite all of you to qualify. And we're really excited to be able to tell you guys first that we have this contest, and it all starts tomorrow. This is our QR code, our landing page for all things life insurance with Pekin. So take a snapshot of this if you haven't already and save it in your favorites. There will be a product guide, all the marketing material, the contest material, everything you need to know about doing business with us. And this is the link that is the most up to date. So I encourage you to pay close attention to this and bookmark this. And I'm going to open it up now for some questions and conversation. But first, I just want to say thank you. We went a little over the 45 minutes. We want to answer the Q&A, so we can be here until 2 o'clock answering the Q&A. We are really excited to work with all of you in any way we can. So please don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call us. We want to help you grow your life insurance sales with Pekin. So thanks for attending, and I'm going to shut down the PowerPoint and we'll open it up for any questions.
So I have a couple just on the children rider I want to dive in.
Okay.
Is the children rider convertible? Like at a certain age, can the child convert to their own plan?
Tara, are you still on?
Am.
All right. I'm looking for the product guide, but you might know off the top of your head.
I believe the child term rider is convertible. Let me double check that. I will say the resources that we shared at the end with a link is very, very, very useful. I printed off like the catalog and stuff just to have with me during meetings like this because there's so much information to take in at one time that we don't expect you to keep all of it.
Hey, Tara, I found it. So for
Okay.
the term rider, it provides term coverage for the children of each insured. Each child is covered from 15 days till their 25th birthday, and coverage can be converted at age 25 to permanent coverage up to 5 times the original rider amount.
Perfect.
Good question. I liked having to go to my product guide. Thank you, Misty.
Yeah, that one comes up a lot. Age 25.
So converted at age 25 up to 5 times the original rider.
Okay. And then does the child's health matter? And I'm only asking because we had another carrier that did a term rider for a child. The child, I can't remember what disease she had, but she sadly did pass. And then after she passed, they were like, yeah, we're not paying because this child had a pre-existing health condition, even though there was no questions for the child rider. And it was horrible for the agent to have to go back and explain that to the parent.
That's horrific. I don't know the answer to that, Misty. Tara, do you know, or do we need to circle back?
I'll circle back on that because I don't see it a whole lot in my underwriting. But let me circle back to that and I can get the answer for you guys this afternoon.
That's
The application
terrible.
does have questions when it goes through it, when they're
Mhm.
redesigning it, that it asks for the children also their last physical, their last whatever. So if there's anything that's asked that they didn't expose that to, then it could be a contestable claim in those first 2 years. But if it asked for these 5 things about the child and all of those were factual and accurately answered, then the contestability, it'd be the same as a contestability on the primary insured.
That makes total sense. Yeah, the other carrier just
But we
had
can also,
questions.
yeah, no, but we can also, Tara can circle back and let you know exactly what we do ask at the time of application on children.
Appreciate it.
And are they do they go through the underwriting? Like are their MIB reports pulled? Because typically a lot of children's hold writers, they don't even ask for Social Security and stuff like that. So um is
Are
that
you
information
asking
pulled as
Are you
well?
asking for just the writer specifically? No, the only thing we look for is you'll want to answer like the medical questions on the application form, and then we'll want to know like the most recent visit with the physician. You just want to make sure that they're in good health.
Okay. And I think Teresa, we asked at conference,
Yep.
how are you guys as for diabetes? Are y'all diabetes friendly or not? I understand there's just very limited carriers that will look at anybody that's a juvenile diabetic. It's no fault of theirs, but but they're penalized, not able to get coverage if they're on insulin, when they're juveniles. So I didn't know how were you able to find that answer?
Tara, do you want to take that one?
Sorry. So we would want to know kind of how it's treated. Um, and our manual kind of changes a little bit. We do want to wait till like they're 18 before we would want to write it. Just typically because there can be like complications the longer that they have the diabetes. Um, so I would suggest probably not juvenile diabetes, unfortunately.
How are you with
Okay.
adult diabetes? Like,
That
Just
is
oral
based off
medication.
of their age, how long they've had it, and how they're treating it. And their last A1C will always ask for too. So if you're writing, a policy that is not going to need like an exam or anything to where we would run those labs, just know that those are the questions we would ask if there's been any complications when they were diagnosed, how it's treated, and their last A1C. And that kind of prevents another write back from underwriting for you to get that information and then more time that it's kind of sitting with us.
are you good with insulin ones if their A1C is under control?
Yeah, we typically do say that diabetics start out at a table 2 rating, and then just based on that additional information is kind of how it would change that table rating.
And we're able to run those quotes with the table rating in y'all's illustration because
So
I hate giving sticker shock to my clients,
Yep.
Mhm.
you know.
So that would be a good, like if you have someone and you're like, okay, they're type 2 diabetic, they're 65, they've had it for 5, 6 years, that would be a really good opportunity for kind of you to give me a call and do like a risk assessment. And then I would be able to give you a more accurate rating as opposed to you just thinking, okay, it might be a table 2. And we just always say those risk assessments are subject to underwriting
Okay.
because there could be something that comes back on the script check report or if we order medical records.
Okay. So at that point, do we just submit as standard or do we submit as whatever the table rating you tell us? And then you
The
just,
table rating.
okay,
Yeah, and then if you were to submit, say we quoted it, the guess was a table 2 rating, and then it came back and they were actually on, insulin or they'd had it longer than what we thought, and it was approved at a table 3, we always reach out to the agent before we approve a policy and send it to our issue team if the rating is different than what they applied for.
perfect.
I
And we
like
do
that.
underwrite for best class. So if you quoted a table 2 and it ended up being a preferred rate, that's how we would underwrite it then.
Okay.
I'm doing a screen share quick, Trees, to further answer the question.
Sure.
As we go through the illustration, when we get to the rate class, when I
Got it.
did Misty earlier, I had her at super preferred. We'll back down to preferred, and then the rating tab will pop up, and you simply hit the drop down arrow. And if Tara said
Wow.
table 2, we go to table 2 and click OK, and you're able to apply the right rating yourself because you are correct. You want to go back with good news, not bad news. It's easier to come back and say, hey, great news. It costs less than what I quoted you
Yeah.
instead of the other way around.
Okay, so if they come back even better than that table two, you'll come back and tell us, hey, we, based on our findings, they actually are preferred versus
Yeah.
table two or table one or whatever the case may be.
Mm.
Yes.
16 table ratings I saw. Is that correct?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't think
I saw that too.
Typically, we
Tara's
don't
like,
write.
what?
No. We don't want that. No. Typically, we don't write over a table six. So anything over a table six, we would decline. I know anything over 100,000 though, we do have the options to send to our reinsurers. So we work with two reinsurers, and what we would do is say that diabetic actually, the A1C wasn't under control. They've only had it for 2 years. They haven't had it under control the whole time they've had it. We decline it here. We can give you the option to send it to our reinsurers, and we take care of that on our side. So we send all the information we have, whether it's the exam, the application, script check, the medical records, to both of the reinsurance companies, and then they review the information and they'll come back with either an offer or a decline as well. It would still be on Pekin paper and everything. It just means pretty much in the future, if that applicant were to apply again, it's going to have to go through the reinsurer for them to make the decision on it.
Nice.
And just to recap, the simplified issue question app for the 2,000 to just under 25,000 threshold, all ages, that's just a guaranteed issue. Is that whole life? And guaranteed issue essentially up to age 85?
That is a whole life product. Yeah.
And the premium's based obviously on age.
Mhm.
Correct.
Pretty good idea.
Do you have a preferred, Tara, for your A1C? Do you have a preferred, so I know some carriers like to see it under 7, some like to see it under 8. Do you have a preferred,
I believe ours is 7 as well.
7?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's considered well controlled. Hmm.
Perfect.
Hey everyone. Hey Teresa. It's Adam. How are you?
Hey,
Hi.
I've tried to ask her.
Hey Amy, Eric, and Tara. So hey, one of the things I think that's critically important is we need to know when not to look at Pekin. And I don't mean that with disrespect, because as you hear us flying off, you see diabetes, right? A very high percentage of the clients they come across, whether it's pills or insulin. If it's an insulin dependent diabetic, more than likely are they going to need an exam and doctor records?
The exam's going to depend on the face amount, the age and the face amount. As for medical records, we probably would want to get those just to make sure that it is controlled, just because we can write typed like the diabetes with the insulin. It's just those are always higher rated. Um,
Mhm.
so it just depends on kind of the face amount, the age we're looking at, and what information we have to decide if we would want to get medical records on it or not.
Because I think the goal is to try to identify the sweet spots,
Hmm.
right? I mean,
Hmm.
we know there's a number of carriers out there that are much more favorable towards an insulin dependent diabetic. Um, if we think, all things being equal, Pekin's going to be a good place for it, we want to attempt to do that. But we also just really need to be realistic. And I think identifying when not to go to Pekin is going to be very, very important, because I could just tell you with the reps out there, they've got potential clients, they're going through their thing, and their instinct is to misinterpret what can and cannot be done, not intentionally, but where do we stay away from Pekin? Where is it just not worth going through this whole process um, on the simplified issue side? Because if we need to get into an exam, then it's kind of apples to apples. If a full exam's going to need to be done, that's one category. But on the simplified issue, hopefully avoiding the exam, where are those sweet spots?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the simplified issue that we run into is the script check report. So if you have, an applicant that you're going through the application and they're on several medications that can be used, for diabetes, they've got a blood pressure medication, they're on a water pill, they're on, several medications that each condition separately wouldn't be an issue, but all together, you think, it's probably not going to qualify for simplified issue. And the simplified issue is actually only written up to a table 4. So anything over a table 4, when we're underwriting the simplified issue, is going to be a decline for it, unfortunately. I will say again that that resource, that QR code, there is a resource in there that has a lot of pretty common things like the heart attacks, diabetes, COPD, and it'll tell you just with that information kind of where they would fall. I would definitely suggest kind of taking a look at that the field guide. And then if you have any questions on it, I'm sure Amy or Teresa will probably share my information. Definitely don't hesitate to ever reach out to me, even if it's on something that you think won't be. I mean, I have agents that'll call me with risk assessments and they're like, I'm actually surprised you guys would make an offer on this. A lot of other carriers wouldn't. Or vice versa, we get stuff that unfortunately we do have to say we would decline. But I would suggest kind of taking a look through that resource guide and kind of seeing what we can and can't offer for pretty common conditions. I mean, it's not going to cover everything, unfortunately, but I would definitely suggest going through that. And then if you have any questions on it or anything, just give me a call or shoot me an email, whichever your preferred, method of communication is.
What are a couple sweet spots that, hey, we should really just be
Mhm.
looking at Pekin?
I know diabetics are because I've had agents tell me that, we offer, table ratings where other companies would have declined this person or um, things like that. It's kind of hard to just lump conditions, and say this is better here. But I know like our smoker rates, even the marijuana use or like things like that, that a lot of companies aren't looking at differently yet. I mean, we changed our rules a couple years ago for the marijuana specifically. But I know a lot of people brought the marijuana cases to us because they got a better rating with us compared to other companies.
Is marijuana considered smoking with y'all or
Mm.
no?
No. So it'll go based off of how many times they use per week. I think it's 4 times or less per week would be preferred. And they can't have a history of like depression.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was going to ask, how are you
Can you guys hear me?
outside of marijuana, but how are you with like antidepressants and like, just because we work with a lot of firemen and police, and a lot of them do take prescriptions for like something to help them sleep. Like,
Mhm.
a lot of them are labeled antidepressant or depressed, but it's just something to help them sleep. And sometimes
Mhm.
they have to switch, like they're going to start you on one, didn't work well, so they're going to switch. So they're all pulling up on their MIB, even though they might only be on one. So how are you guys with that kind of stuff?
So we would go based off of what's on the script check report. So if we see, I mean, several anxiety or, depression, I know depression meds can be used for just sleep as well. We would probably want to just reach out to the agent to get clarification that, this is the only med they're on. Or when you answer the question, like you're going through the application in 1E's, like the, mental disorder question, there'll be a section where you include like their current medication, and then you can say went through, medication changes. They were on this, and this, but at this time they are only on this medication. And that would definitely help with the underwriting process.
Beautiful.
You made a good point, Misty. We see that a lot where one prescription can be used for a huge range of things. So to get ahead of that, to your point, it might be some type of psychiatric medication that's a sleeping pill, or the other is like a pain pill that could be used as sleeping or vice versa or whatever. If you identify that at the point of application, adding that in the notes will make things so much easier for Tara and the team.
Mhm.
Because that's what happens a lot. We get it back and they get all these, it could be for a plethora of diagnosis. And as soon as we had
Mhm.
that conversation, we know what it's for, then it's all
Mhm.
good to go. So that's very helpful for her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with like cardiovascular or heart circulatory system medications. Those can be used to treat anything from high blood pressure to, heart failure. So definitely that's one of like the biggest the biggest right backs we have is, what are they taking it for? We just need to know for sure. So definitely including what they're taking it for. And if they were taking an anxiety med, but it was just for sleep and it's as needed, include all that information because, like Amy said, it'll help the underwriting process.
Perfect. Thank you. Bill, you've been wanting to ask a question. Jump in there.
I don't think that, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
now,
Barely.
Oh, okay. I didn't think everybody was hearing me. Um, I'm sorry. I have, and I know when we get logins, it's probably easier. I have a 28-year-old with spina bifida. She's on crutches 99% of the time. She drives, she works. I mean, she's functional, but she has spina bifida. Is that something that you guys would look at?
Yeah, I can actually pull that up in our,
I mean, she works at an old Navy, which is a clothing store. So she does sit in a wheelchair while she's folding and hanging clothes because she can't do that while on her crutches. But as soon as she's done with that, she's back on her crutches. So she's pretty functional. But I don't know if this is something that you guys would look at.
okay. You said she sits in a wheelchair too when she's like at work?
Just to fold clothes or hang clothes, because she needs her arms and hands to do that. It's not because she's tired or whatever. And she's running the register, she's on her crutches. If she's walking to and from the car, she's on her crutches. She drives, she does everything else.
Okay.
She can't use her crutches and hang clothes on a hanger and fold clothes at the same time. God only gave
Does
us
she,
two arms, unfortunately.
so we would want to know like if she can complete her like activities of daily living. Typically
Absolutely.
when someone is using ambulatory devices, we would decline it. The thing
mean,
about
she
our
does.
underwriting, which is kind of nice, is there's, situations like that where you can call and explain the situation to us. And sometimes we can make an offer with like a table rating. That one I would suggest getting kind of as much information from you as you could, and then kind of giving me a call to let you know, like, yeah, we would be able to make an offer on it, or no, we wouldn't want to write it. It's just
She does
typically
have
with those
things.
ambulatory devices, especially multiple ones, we kind of steer away from those situations.
As I understand it, she does all the daily living activities all on her own. She doesn't, I mean, she only takes a vitamin D pill. She doesn't take any medication.
Hmm.
I mean, she's fairly healthy other than having a spinal bifida. So just trying to, you know, nobody wants to put her in a term plan because her parents are worried about, when they're no longer here and that term expires, what's going to happen. But if I could put them into a term that's going to roll into something permanent, then that might make sense for them.
Hmm. Yeah, I would definitely suggest getting as much information from her as you can, and then
Okay.
giving me a call. We can discuss it, see if that's something we would want to make an offer on.
Okay.
Because if with just based on that information, I'm just I don't want to say we would be able to make an offer just because of the ambulatory devices, but it might be something we could take offline and discuss.
I mean, I almost didn't mention the wheelchair, but my luck, you'd walk into the store and there she'd be sitting. But and I mean, she doesn't take it home with her. She leaves it there. She doesn't,
Mhm.
just literally because she's trying to fold and hang clothes and needs her
Right.
hands to do that. So,
Mhm.
all right, I'll follow up on that and I'll get your
Okay.
number and I'll follow up and give you a call and see if that's something we might be able to do then.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I have two.
Go ahead.
Smoking beside if you have vapor, because we have carriers out there that'll give non-smoking rates for vaping, cigars, tobacco, things like that. Do y'all rate those as smoking regardless if it's a cigarette or vaping or any other form of tobacco?
So vaping and cigarettes will be rated the same. So that would be our smoker rate.
Okay.
Cigars would be preferred tobacco.
Okay.
And then what was the other one you had asked about? Or were
Just
those
any
the
other, just for that portion, just
Mhm.
any other tobacco products, because
Mhm.
like all tobacco products are typical, well, with this one carrier is non-smoking, but then
Mhm.
if it's a cigarette, then it's a smoking rate. So I didn't know if y'all had any, because you looked at pot,
Mhm.
marijuana, it's not smoking. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. So
Um,
like the chew and like the snuff, that stuff, that would be preferred tobacco.
okay, so it would all still be
Mhm.
tobacco, but just rated a little bit better.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
Eh,
there's smoker rates and then we have the preferred tobacco. So they're two different rates.
Okay.
Mhm.
My last question is disability. There's people that go out on Social Security disability or on Social Security disability because they can't hold a job or things like that for Social Security and stuff like that. They're not physically
Mhm.
disabled. They can go get a job at Walmart, and keep under that threshold. How do y'all look at that? Would y'all offer somebody with disability versus somebody that works
So
and
someone
doesn't?
that's disabled is going to be a minimum table two. And then if we can make an offer, it would be subject to what they're on, what they're disabled for, why they're not working. So if someone was, they have depression or some mental disorders that enable them from work, that would be a decline. You see people that were in, a car accident in their, teens, early 20s, have back pain, can't work, things like that, we would be able to write. It would just be subject to, what they're on that disability, they're disabled for. It's going to be a table two minimum.
Okay. Well, that's great to know because most
Mhm.
people, most carriers will just decline.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. And I do have one final question for you, Teresa.
Mhm.
You said on the preferred whole life in one of your illustrations
Yep.
that they have an option for reduced paid up value. I think I just missed something there because I thought typically that was like, um, offered on like a return with return of premium, and then they have the option either to take the money back or to take the reduced face value of that policy that's left and it's paid up for their whole life. So did I miss
Let me
something
just
there? Is that
clarify it. I might have misspoke or said it wrong, but bottom line for that policy, as the policy matures and grows, there's going to be a reduced paid up option should they want to take it. And let's say she's at, I think that was the female, she's 67 and the column says she's got, I'm just going to throw out a number, 62,000 in there. She can choose to take that as a reduced paid up, no more premiums. That's her paid up policy. But remember, she still has her long-term care rider associated with that. So she would get 5% of that 62,000 as a uh, as a figure if she needs to tap into dollars for long-term care needs. Does that make sense?
Yes, sorry. So that's on the preferred whole life. So instead of paying it for the whole life, she can take the reduced up paid up.
Yes.
Okay. Um, and is that 5% on the long-term care? Is that a one time per year, one
No.
time
And
per month?
great question. I've been with Pekin since January and I had it wrong the first time. So I'm glad that you're asking the same question I screwed up at.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I
so
like questions. I like to
I love
understand.
it. It's 5% of the permanent portion of the policy monthly.
Okay.
So I thought that wasn't that, but I'm just going to say that because that's what it is. I won't tell you what I thought it was. So 5% of the permanent portion available monthly,
Okay.
which is
Until it
huge.
runs out, correct?
Right. Now there is some like if there's 500,000 is the max on the long-term care rider Adam, you have to leave at least 10,000 in there. So if they had a $500,000 long-term care rider, 490 would be the maximum that they could access because there's some kind of rule about having $10,000 in there.
Well, it would become a mech and you would collapse the policy if you
Yeah.
took out everything.
Yeah.
How does this
So
affect Medicare though? How does that affect Medicare and the taxes? Because I don't do Medicare, but I'm looking at getting into it. And so how does, and I remember trying to take that exam, the AHIP stuff, with the taxes and the before and after and drawdown and all that stuff. So
I,
how does
I'm not
that,
gonna I'm not gonna speak to the Medicare side of it. I'm not gonna claim to know that, but I can tell you this because it's tied to the life insurance and the way we filed it and the 10,000 at the end and all of those things, as long as they stay with under that amount of benefits, I believe it's 12,000 or so. So it's pretty much it's quite a bit a month. It's an advance on their life insurance, so it's not taxable and it's not really considered a benefit in that regard. I can give you that piece of the puzzle. I'm not going to try and speak to what that does to what you're asking about spin down and that.
You're not sending a 1090
Correct. It's not
no.
because
taxable
it's
because
a
it stands on the
loan.
life
So,
insurance.
and that's where people need, a loan against the withdrawal. They're taking a loan against the policy. So in effect, you're still protecting the contract of the life insurance agreement.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep, sure
That's a
does.
very good question, Nikki.
Sorry. Thank you. I just was thinking about that when you were talking about it earlier. So thank you.
Because if it's income, then it would impact the other
Yeah,
side.
it's an accelerated death benefit essentially.
So really where I think it just comes into play is at the end of the day, the client has options,
Mhm.
whatever they need, there's three different options. They could take cash, They could keep it in and keep paying premium if, depending on the duration they chose. Or they could do a paid up. I mean, there's options. They're not locked into anything. The flexibility that it offers, I think it's advantageous because you can't predict what could happen. So why not have a lot of options? But that's a great question. And it's important to understand how that works. But 5% a month is an incredible amount of dollars. When you look at the examples I did, that's a lot of money. I mean, and if they don't ever use it, guess what? They have a life insurance policy and the death benefit goes to their heirs. So options.
That does require long-term care certification. I just wanted to call that. I mean, it's only one course, but I wanted to just, if you don't have that, I want you to get ahead of getting that.
8 hours.
All right, guys, we're at 2:15. Is there any other questions? I want to make sure I don't screw up anybody's time here. I know we had a lot of people on the call.
I appreciate
Awesome.
you guys
Oh.
making the time. Thank you.
Can I
Excited.
circle back to your question real quick, Misty?
Yeah.
About the child term rider. So I did get the answer, and there isn't any underwriting when they convert the child term rider to a whole life. But like Amy had said, it'd be like the 2-year contestable though still.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that in the agent guide, Tara, spelled out?
It's not, but we could probably see about getting that added in there.
Yeah,
We're
I
getting
think
ready
That's
to do
fairly
it.
standard. That's fairly standard. After
Okay.
the first 2 years, there's it's guarantee insurability on a conversion from a child rider into a permanent plan. It's getting them the coverage and then
Early.
past the initial 2 years.
Even as a rider. So in her case, she had that child who died while on the rider and it didn't pay out because there's no health questions on children's policies. So if that child died prior to the 2 year of that policy,
Yeah. So that, and this is me putting my claims hat of my experience in claims. It would be based on that application, and I don't have that in front of me, but whatever was asked at the point about that child, if they completed that and they completed it truthfully,
right?
then the contestability wouldn't matter because that's all that happens in that 2 years is we go back and look at the application. Did you give us all the facts? Did we issue the risk according to what the facts were? Yes or no? If it said, had they whatever, and they answered no, and it wasn't accurate, that's a whole different story.
Okay, but that rider has the 2 year contestability period as well as when it converts over
Correct.
to
But
the
what we can
term.
do is we can verify for you exactly what's asked. And if those
Okay.
things are asked truthfully about the child, I pride myself on our claim turnaround, not to change. We play clean claims in 24 hours. We've had that standard. If it's non-contestable, our claims are paid in 24 hours. And we get great reviews from our agents during the contestability process. And the way, like Tara works with you on the front end, our claim analyst will work at that point. If it is contestable and we're having to get records, we keep the agent in the loop as much as they want to be, just to level it set with expectations because it's a difficult time already without getting hung up waiting to get those expenses paid.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
Y'all are awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Well, we're
you.
looking forward to working with you guys. So let's go. Let's make it happen. Anything we can do, Eric, myself, Amy, Tara, we're here to support you. And we just want to have a big, big year with you guys. We're really excited to partner with you. Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited. Jason we're just waiting on his login to get in there and start. I was taking some notes. I just quoted some people this morning that this might be a better.
Awesome.
Oh.
And then I think Jason is the agency, correct? So once that's in, he can go into Reagan and start kicking off all the other downlines, I believe. You guys are familiar with that process, I'm assuming?
So does Jason goes in and sends out the invitations for
Or
the,
Adam, perhaps. I'm not sure how it's set up, but someone here would have the ability to kick those off. I don't know if it's Adam or Jason with your hierarchy.
yeah, I think we just
Probably
sent,
Jason, just like he did with a couple of the other ones that he's done through Reagan AI.
Yeah, I think yeah, we're going to see if we can get a workaround from where getting I, but we'll take care of it.
Okay.
All right, because I think it could be done through SureLC, right?
Yeah, so if you can go through Reagan and it kicks it through that, and then it ultimately goes to SureLC. But I do know some of Heartland's partners, and maybe you're one of them, has their own SureLC that goes, and then it come kind of backdoors to HFG. So
Which it is, yeah, because I have all their signatures, so it allows us to do direct
Okay.
and save
Okay.
sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Okay. Okay. Well,
We
I can
want to
tell you,
save
once it hits
time.
Pekin's door, once it finally gets to our hands, our turnaround's about 2 days. So,
Yeah.
if you can do
Well,
anything as
Teresa
quick as
got
your
these
side,
two. You guys are set. You got them back within a couple of days, which is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate everything, and
Thank you,
we're
guys.
excited.
Great
Yeah.
year ahead.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice seeing you all.